Good evening everyone. In this video, we're going to tackle about social disorganization theory. But first, let me tell a brief background about this theory. So the theory of social disorganization was developed by Clifford Shaw in 1929 and published in 1942 in collaboration with his assistant Henry Mackay. In 1929, as part of his study, Juvenile delinquency in urban areas in Chicago, Shaw investigated the places of residence of 60,000 young males who had been registered by the city. The police or the courts as school truants or offenders. He called the areas in which a large number of the young men under investigation lived delinquency areas. So when we say juvenile delinquency, ito ay tumutukoy sa mga paglabag sa batas na ginagawa ng mga minor de edad. So now, let's move to the main discussion of social disorganization theory. Social disorganization theory links crime rates to neighborhood ecological characteristics. Crime rates are elevated in highly transient, mixed use where residential and commercial property exist side by side, and or changing neighborhoods in which the fabric of social life has become frayed. These localities are unable to provide essential services such as education, health care, and proper housing, and as a result, experience significant levels of unemployment, single-parent families, and families on welfare and aid to dependent children, or ADC. So, pag sinabi nating social disorganization theory, ito ay nagpapaliwanag kung bakit mas mataas ang crime rate sa ilang mga lugar kaysa sa iba. Ito ay dahil sa kawalan ng pagkakaisa at kontrol sa isang komunidad. Ang mga lugar na ito ay hindi kayang magbigay ng mga mahahalagang serbisyo tulad ng edukasyon, pangangalagang pangkalusugan at disenteng tirahan. So in addition to social disorganization theory, views crime-ridden neighborhoods as those in which residents are trying to live at the earliest opportunity. Residents are uninterested in community matters, therefore, the common sources of control, the family, school, business, community, social service agencies are weak and disorganized. The work of Shaw and Mackay. Social disorganization theory was popularized by the work of two Chicago sociologists, Henry Mackay and Clifford R. Shaw. So, a while ago, ito yung mga theories na binanggit ko in my brief background about social disorganization theory. So, who link life in transitional slum areas to the inclination to commit crime. Shaw and Mackay began their pioneering work on crime in Chicago during the early 1920s while working as researchers for state-supported social service agencies. They were heavily influenced by Chicago school sociologists Ernest Borges and Robert Park, who had pioneered the ecological analysis of urban life. So sa madaling salita, ang kanilang pag-aaral ay nagpapakita na ang mga lugar na may mababang antas ng social control at mataas na antas ng poverty, instability, at heterogeneity ay may posibilidad na magkaroon ng mataas na rate ng krimen. So pag sinabi nating heterogeneity, ito ay tumutukoy sa pagkakaiba ng mga tao sa isang lugar. Hindi ito nangahulugan ang mga taong nakatira sa mga lugar na ito ay likas na kriminal, kundi ang mga kondisyon sa kapaligiran ay nagdudulot ng mga sitwasyon na nagpapadali sa paggawa ng krimen. So, transitional neighborhoods. Shaw and Mackay explained crime and delinquency within the context of the changing urban environment and ecological development of the city. They saw that Chicago had developed into distinct neighborhoods, which is the natural areas, some affluent and others rocked by extreme poverty. These poverty-ridden transitional neighborhoods suffered high rates of population turnover and were incapable of inducing residents to remain and defend the neighborhoods against criminal groups. So pag sinabi nating transitional neighborhoods, ito ay mga lugar na patuloy na nagbabago. Dahil sa mataas na rate ng paglipat ng populasyon, ang mga residente ay hindi nagkakaroon ng pagkakataon na magkaroon ng koneksyon at magtatag ng malakas na ugnayan sa isa't isa. Dahil dito, humina ang social control sa mga lugar na ito. Walang malakas na pakikipag-ugnayan sa pagitan ng mga residente at walang sapat na pagtutulungan upang maiwasan ang krimen. So now let's move to concentric zones. Shaw and Mackey identified the areas in Chicago that had excessive crime rates. Using a model of analysis pioneered by Ernest Borges, they noted that distinct ecological areas had developed in the city, comprising a series of 5 concentric circles, or zones, and that there were stable and significant differences in interzone crime rates. The areas of heaviest concentration of crime appeared to be the transitional inner city zones, where large numbers recently settled. The zones farthest from the city's center had correspondingly lower crime rates. So, according to my research, the five concentric zone are: Zone number 1 is the Central Business District. Zone 2, Transitional Zone. Zone 3, Working Class Zone. Zone 4, Residential Zone. And Zone 5, Commuter Zone. So here's the figure taken by the book. So through studies of concentric zones, nakita ni Shaw at Mackey na ang mga lugar na malapit sa sentro ng lungsod ay may posibilidad na magkaroon ng mas mataas na crime rate. Ito ay dahil sa mga kondisyon sa kapaligiran na nagpapahirap para sa mga residente na magtatag ng malakas na komunidad at social control. The legacy of Shaw and Mackey. Social disorganization concepts articulated by Shaw and Mackey have remained prominent within criminology for more than 75 years. Most important among Shaw and Mackey's finding was that crime rates corresponded to neighborhood structure and that crime is a creature of the destructive ecological conditions in urban slums. Their contention was that criminals are not, as some criminologists of the time believed, biologically inferior, intellectually impaired, or psychologically damaged. Their research supported that belief that crime is a constant fixture in areas of poverty regardless of the racial or ethnic identity of its residents. Because the basis of their theory was that neighborhood disintegration and slum conditions are the primary causes of criminal behavior. Shaw and Mackey paved the way for the many community action and treatment provides developed in the last half-century. So, ang mga ideya ni Shaw and Mackey ay nagpapakita lamang na ang krimen ay hindi dahil sa mga individual na katangian ng mga kriminal, kundi dahil sa mga kondisyon sa kapaligiran. Ang mga slum area ay may mga problema tulad ng kahirapan, kawalan ng trabaho, kakulangan sa edukasyon at kawalan ng mga serbisyo na nagpapalala sa krimen. Ang kanilang pananaliksik ay nagtulak sa pag-unlad ng mga program na naglalayong mapabuti ang mga kondisyon sa mga lugar na ito at maiwasan ang krimen. Ang kanilang legacy ay nagpapakita na ang pag-unawa sa mga pangunahing sanhi ng krimen ay mahalaga sa pagbuo ng mga epektibong solusyon. Ang pagtutok sa pagpapabuti ng mga kondisyon sa kapaligiran tulad ng pagbibigay ng mga trabaho, edukasyon at mga serbisyo ay maaaring makatulong na mabawasan ang krimen at mapabuti ang buhay ng mga tao sa mga lugar na ito. The Social Ecology School. During the 1970s, criminologists were influenced by several critical analyses of the social disorganization theory, which presented well thought out challenges to its validity during this sorry. The, ecolo- the The Social Ecology School. During the 1970s, criminologists were influenced by several critical analyses of the social disorganization theory, which presented well thought out challenges to its validity. During this period, theories with a social psychological orientation stressed offender socialization within the family, school, and peer group. These ideas dominated the criminological literature of that time. Despite its fall from grace, the social disorganization tradition was kept alive by area studies conducted by Bernard Lander in Baltimore, David Bordua in Detroit, and Roland Shelton in Indianapolis. These studies showed that such ecological conditions as substandard housing, low income, and unrelated people living together predicted a high incidence of delinquency. So kung mapapansin natin, ang teksto ay nagpapakita ng isang debate sa criminology tungkol sa mga sanhi ng krimen. Ang social disorganization theory ay nagbibigay diin sa mga kondisyon sa kapaligiran, habang ang mga social psychological theories ay nagbibigay diin sa mga pakikipag-ugnayan ng tao. Ang mga pag-aaral na ginawa sa panahon ng 1970s ay nagpakita na ang parehong mga theory ay may bisa, at ang krimen ay resulta ng isang kombinasyon ng mga salik sa kapaligiran at sa pakikipag-socialize ng mga tao. Community deterioration. Crime rates have been associated with community deterioration, disorder, poverty, alienation, disoccasional, community Community deterioration. Crime rates have been associated with community deterioration, disorder, poverty, alienation, disassociation, and fear of crime. For example, neighborhoods with a high percentage of deserted houses and apartments experience high crime rates. Abandoned buildings serve as a magnet for crime. Areas in which houses are in poor repair, boarded up and burned out, and whose owners are best described as slumlords, are also the location of the highest violence rates and gun crime. These are neighborhoods in which retail establishments often go bankrupt, are abandoned, and deteriorate physically. Pag sinabi nating community deterioration, ito ay ang pagsira ng isang komunidad. Ang pagkasira ng isang komunidad ay maaaring mangyari dahil sa iba't ibang mga kadahilanan, tulad ng kahirapan, kakulangan ng trabaho, at kawalan ng mga serbisyo. Ang mga lugar na may mataas na rate ng pagkasira ng komunidad ay may posibilidad na magkaroon ng mas mataas na rate ng krimen dahil ang mga kondisyon sa kapaligiran ay nagpapalala sa krimen at pinapababa ang social control. Poverty concentration. One aspect of community change may be the concentration of poverty in deteriorated neighborhoods. Although poverty rates or unemployment may not be a direct cause of crime, areas that are the most deteriorated, even within the context of inner city poverty, seem to have much higher crime rates than more stable lower-class environments. William Julius Wilson describes how working and middle-class families flee inner city poverty areas, resulting in a concentration effect in which elements of the most disadvantaged population are consolidated in urban ghettos. As the working and middle classes move out, they take with them their financial and institutional resources and support. Businesses are disinclined to locate in poverty areas. Banks become reluctant to lend money for new